Hi everyone, and welcome to this seminar of Kiddie Glam and Makeup and Cosmetics. Hi, my name is Jan Benham. I have been a beauty therapist and clinical aromatherapist for over 40 years, and now I'm a cosmetic formulator for the past 15 years for a few companies. So today I'm going to be talking about how we can make a few products. So we're going to talk about two products, mineral eyeshadow and lipsticks. Specifically, I had this with children in mind, but all that we're talking about today also applies to adult makeup as well. So even though the products we're making are for children, we can also use them on ourselves as well. And this makeup, it feels good. It's completely 100% natural. And we're going to begin by talking about why we might want to do this. Well, first of all, when I've been looking at ingredients in children's makeup, when I was researching for the book, I found that there was a whole slew of ingredients that I certainly wouldn't want to put on my skin. And I talked about this in various YouTube videos as well. And I'm not going to touch on every single one because that would be a whole seminar in itself, just to talk about the ingredients you want to avoid. So I'm just going to look at 4 different ingredients. So if you can look at and then make your own decision about whether you would like these ingredients in your products or not, whether it be cosmetics, makeup, lipstick, or whatever. And also, if you are how can I describe it? If you are interested in all the other ingredients, then you can easily look it up on Google. There's lots of information out there, but unfortunately there's also a lot of misinformation from Dr. Google as well. So do double check and check with experts if you're unsure about which ingredient is good or not. So let's start with unveiling the harmful ingredients in children's makeup. So the first thing I'm going to look at is fragrances and perfume. So unfortunately, fragrances and perfume are pretty well in everywhere. They're in laundry detergent, scented candles, and you could just go into a department store and all you're smelling is perfume and fragrances. Now, when I'm talking about perfume and fragrances, I'm not talking about essential oils here, which are okay. Well, if you've got 100% natural essential oils, of course. But these perfumes and fragrances are very often haven't even seen the plant. Like they can make a scent of a rose that has never been near a rose. Now, this is a problem in the fact that these fragrances are made from petrochemicals and obviously made from chemicals that have been put together, and we have no idea what they are doing to our body. And they're pervasive, they're everywhere. So you're smelling them in. I've got friends of mine who cannot go into a department store because they're chemical sensitive. And it's happening more and more now that people are reacting. Their bodies are actually trying to protect them from these perfumes. So one of the things that they contain is phthalates. Now, these phthalates can particularly be of a concern for children because they affect the hormones in the body. So they can be endocrine disruptors. So I certainly don't want to be putting anything on my child or have my child put anything on themselves that contains anything that contains phthalates. And so that is one good reason to keep away from putting anything on or smelling anything that contains perfume or artificial fragrancing. So do be aware of that. So every time you see something, perfume or fragrance, I would suggest you just stay away from it. If it says it's scented with the essential of, say, organic mandarin or organic sweet orange, then you're going to be safe. And if you are worried about any fragrances, please check with the manufacturer or make them yourself. So that's number 1. Number 2 is artificial dyes and colorants. So if you decide that you want to make products, you want to make sure that the dyes are not from, again, F, C and D dyes, which are from petroleum byproducts. So when we look at different colors, you can buy something called micas. So here we have a mica, a green mica, majestic green. Now it could be colored with artificial dyes, which also has an effect on us and on the environment. And especially if you're putting it onto the skin, around the eyes or around the lips, you are also going to be eating it as well. Now, so if you're buying natural colorants, you want to make sure that it's from 100% natural. For example, mica is, the colored mica that you see here is made by the mica being ground up and then it's coated with different colorants such as F, C and D dyes or carmine or titanium dioxide, or you can also color it with oxides, which can be natural. So again, when you look at the list of ingredients, and you can order, when you order a mica, you can also get the MSDS sheet or COA, certificate of safety basically, which will show you exactly what is in that product. So that's another thing to be aware of, that you want to have naturally colored, especially for lips, pigments. So I've got just 3 here for fun: dark blue and amethyst, all naturally colored. Now, keeping on to the thing of the micas, you can buy micas that are very glittery. You can get very glitter content, especially for nail varnishes. And this glitter can be made, is most of the time made from basically glitters from PET, which is a synthetic polymer that is used to create glitter effects in cosmetics. Now, unfortunately, when I was looking at children's makeup, I was seeing this ingredient in a lot of the makeup. Now, while this might not affect the person who's using it, it does affect the environment, because what happens is it gets into, when you wash it off, it gets into the water system, gets into the sea eventually, and is what they call a forever chemical that will never leave, and it can poison the wildlife as well as ourselves in the end. So that's another thing to look out for. Polyethylene terephthalate, I think I'm saying that right, and it's known as PET. Now, the last concern I'm really worried about is the use of talc in cosmetics, especially mineral makeup. So talc itself is not a problem. The problem is that talc is mined alongside with asbestos. So they kind of are next to each other in the quarries. So when the talc is mined, sometimes a little bit of asbestos also gets in with the talc. And it's not, there's different types of asbestos, I can't remember the name right now, but the type of asbestos that is getting into the talc is the most dangerous type. Now, studies have been done on this, and there's been a lot of lawsuits now recently against Johnson & Johnson for their baby powder, because there's been people who said that their ovarian cancer and other things have been caused by the talc. So you don't need to have products that contain talc. There are many other options available. Even if the talc didn't have asbestos in, you don't know unless you get it actually tested. So not all talc will have asbestos in, but some of it does. So, as I said, in mineral makeup, especially in eyeshadows and foundations, talc is usually the main ingredient. It makes up something like 70% of the product. So if you're bashing it around your face in a swirly motion of powders getting everywhere, believe me, you're breathing it in as well. And you do not want to be breathing in asbestos. So that is just a few ingredients. There are many more out there. So again, as I said before, if you are unsure, you can Google it, check it out, and then just check over with an expert to make sure that what you're reading is correct, because there is a lot of misinformation out there too. I hate to stress that again. So let's look at now some of the ingredients that we're going to be using. So as I said, in this seminar, we're just going to be looking at 2 products. In the workshop that I'm going to be doing with the FHT at some point, we look at many other products like making natural perfume with essential oils, making skincare products, lip glosses, blushes, etc. So we do look at more, but we don't have much time in this seminar, so we're going to just look at mineral eyeshadows and something you can do with your children as well, and something for fun just for you as well. So we're going to start. I've just written down the ingredients in this seminar that we're going to be using in our makeup. Now there is beeswax in here, and if you do want to have a vegan version, then you can always use something called a berry wax instead, or you can use just replace with candelilla wax, which is from a shrub, Mexican shrub, or canaba wax even. So there are a lot of natural waxes out there that are vegan if you wish to go the vegan route. I only work with, for perfume, essential oils, and the safest ones that I use for children would be things like sweet orange and mandarin. They're very gentle and they're very safe to even put on the lips. So you could put it in a lipstick, for example, or a lip gloss. And they are not, specifically sweet orange oil and mandarin are not photosensitive like lemon and lime are. So they can be used on the skin and they're not going to cause a burning effect. So I thought what we'd start with is making the eyeshadows, and you do want to look at make sure you have all the ingredients that you need to start with, and also all the tools that you need. So next is a video that I've made showing you from start to finish how to make a mineral eyeshadow. In order to make eyeshadow, you need colored pigments. And what we have here are colored micas, which are ideal for eyeshadows. Now, these micas are from cerulean mica that have been coated with things like oxides and ultramarines. Now, you can get micas that are also covered with FD and C dyes, which are from petroleum byproducts, but we want to use natural pigments. Now, the other thing to be aware of is you want to make sure that the mica is a fine grinded mica, up to 60 UM. If it's any thicker, it also won't stick to the eyelids. Now, in order for these to stick to the eyelids, you need to put it into a base that is sticky, so it's an eyeshadow base. So I'm just going to go through each of the components that we use in our eyeshadow base. So putting these to one side, we'll go through the bases. So the first thing we like to use is titanium dioxide. Now, titanium dioxide is very useful. It's a whitener. It also is very sticky. Now, if you particularly don't want to use titanium dioxide, you can also use zinc oxide instead. That's one. The next one I love to use personally is kaolin clay. It also has a nice adhesion, and it also makes the eyeshadow stick onto the eyelid and also glides on nicely. So it makes a nice soft palette for the eyeshadow, for the color mica to stick onto. And then we have an ultra silk mica, which is a very finely grained mica that makes it very nice and silky. Then we have magnesium stearate, which is again an adhesive and also is used for slip and glide. And lastly, we have plain cerulean mica. So when these are put together, they make a base, and you have the recipe in your notes of how to make this. So we mix these up into this white powder, And in order to do that, we can use a coffee grinder or you can use a mortar and pestle. So today we're going to make aquatic gem eyeshadow, which involves the use of these three. This is a green blue mica and this is a golden spark, so it adds a nice dimension to this eyeshadow. And to show you how simple it's going to be, you also do need to have measuring spoons, which you can get from any kitchen store. And you can either mix it in with a mortar and pestle, or you can just shake. So today I thought it'd be simply to show you the shake method. So just get yourself a little pot with a lid, and all we do is we put 1 teaspoon, and you don't have to be exact. See, I'm making a big mess of this already. Of that. And we're going to do it, put a teaspoon of the gold sparks in there. And simply just shake. Now what we're also going to add, this by itself, as I said, will not stick onto the eyelid. A very pretty colour there. So we're going to add half a teaspoon of the base of the mixture of the titanium dioxide, the kaolin clay, magnesium stearate, and so on. And this will make the eyeshadow stick. And again, shake, 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 shake. Or you can put it in a coffee grinder if you want it a little bit finer, or you can put it in a mortar and pestle. And that's as simple as that to make this eyeshadow. And you can see how beautiful it is. And you can make your eyeshadows in all different shades. So you get different coloured blue micas, green, purple, even pink. And it's just divine with that gold sparks in there, just adds a dimension. So that is how you can make an eyeshadow. And then you can have a lot more fun by mixing, say, the gold with the blue. I mean, if we take, for example, I'll just show you an example of this. Add a little bit of the fine gold, just say 1/4 teaspoon to this. Add it again, shake, 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 shake. In this case, I probably would do it in a grinder, but just to give you a quick overview of this, you've got yourself another colour. Get yourself a nice shade there. And if you want to add a little bit more, you get even more of a greenish tinge coming through. So again, a little bit more. Then if you add a little bit of red to it, you're going to get a nice light brown. So there you've got a nice greenish tinge there. It's quite beautiful actually, this one. So this is with the fine gold mixed with the green blue and a little bit of gold sparks. So let's add a little bit of pink to it now for fun. This is the Ballet Slipper mica. And I would suggest if you keep adding the micas, then you do need to add a little bit more base. Otherwise, it's not going to stick onto the eyelid. Need a little bit more of the red. Now what I'm going to do here, as you can see, it's getting browner and browner here. I'm just going to put it into it, so it's looking like a nice grey colour actually. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put it in a coffee grinder so you can see the difference of how it looks when it's ground up. And there you have a beautiful grey colour. And then if you want to add a little bit more other colours to this, then you're going to get a brown eventually. So that's that colour there. Pretty, very pretty. The titanium dioxide makes it into a grey. For fun, you can play even more. Just put half a teaspoon of chocolate kisses in there. See what else we can come up with. And there we have another beautiful colour. And you can see how many different shades you can make just with using a few micas. So that's how we make a simple mineral eyeshadow that just needs to go into a pot for application. So you have in your seminar notes, I've put 4 recipes down there: Moonbeam Sparkle, Twinkling Sunkissed, Sapphire Mystique, and Aquatic Gem. Now, you can do a lot more colors. You can, out of these colors, you know, if you got yourself, for example, different colored micas, you can mix and match. So you can have so much fun making hundreds of different shades of eyeshadows once you know the color table. So you mix up, say, a green and a yellow mica, and a blue and a yellow mica, making a green. You can make a red mica and a blue mica, make a purple. You can make an orange from the yellow and the red again, making a orange. And then you can mix up those 3 together to make a brown. So you can make all different shades. And then if you have at hand some titanium dioxide, you can grind in some titanium dioxide into the mix to lighten it, or some black oxide to darken it. So you can make very many variations of the shade. And then you can add a little touch of sparkly mica, again naturally formed, to add a little touch of glitter to the eyeshadows. Now we're going to be looking at lipsticks. Now these lipsticks can be used not just as lipsticks, they're more, what I've done in the recipes is made them more like a lip tint, but you can make it more like a lipstick. You just need to add more pigment to the mix. And the suggested is to get something like tin pans to put them in. They're much easier for mixing. And also for, you can then just use your finger, and then it can be used as cheek as well. So it can be used as a lip and cheek tint as well. So now we're going to look at a video of how to make the lipstick. Now we're going to make lipstick, and 100% natural lipstick. So we're going to make a very simple lipstick that works really, really well. And the oils that we're going to use is jojoba and castor oil, which are both really good on the skin. Castor oil is a nice thick oil, and jojoba is really good as well. Now, if you don't want to use jojoba oil, you can always use another oil instead, you know, like almond oil or anything else, because jojoba is a little bit more expensive. But definitely use the castor oil and then another oil. And then we mix it with waxes. Now I'm going to do it with beeswax and also candelilla wax. Now if you want to go completely vegan, then you could use 100% candelilla wax. I personally do like to add a little bit of beeswax because it does add a little bit of a softener, basically a softening to the lipstick. So this makes it a little bit more brittle, the candelilla wax, as opposed to candelilla wax and beeswax. There is something on the market called a berry wax, which is a natural wax which can be used in replacement for beeswax as well. And then last but not least, we have shea butter, which I think is a lovely addition for a natural lipstick. So this is refined shea butter, naturally refined. So we use all these ingredients. I do encourage you, if you do want to make lipsticks, to basically, because everything has to be weighed, is to get yourself some sort of postal scale is usually a good idea, or a scale that measures to the gram. So what we do, I always make the base in advance, and then I keep the amount and I put it all in, say something like this jar. I put it all in there, and then I melt it in a bain-marie, which means I pop this into a pot with boiling water and then wait until it melts. And then I pour it into a container to store it. So once that's made, then we can take out, this is 8 grams of the mix of the 5 ingredients in here. So you can get yourself a little jar again, the smaller the better. This is a little Pyrex dish. Now, what I would suggest is at the beginning, if you have a microwave, to pop it in the microwave, just because it's easier that way rather than put it into a bain-marie. But you can put it in a bain-marie, but you need to keep something to hold it down, otherwise it's going to tip over. So you can melt it that way. Today I'm just going to put it in the microwave just to serve for quickness, so you can see the result. So this is 8 grams of the base, so very little base. Now for colour, micas don't cut it. They will leave a nice, they'll have a nice colour to the lipstick, but it won't actually leave a colour stay on the lips. So you need to have colours that are made with oxides or specific pigments that will stick to the lips. So these are pigments that have a combination of zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. This one has got carmine in, this one has got oxides in. So you can see they all have colours that would actually leave a lipstick stain on the lips. That's why it's called lipstick. So I'm going to use this colour. This is baby pink. This is just peachy, and this is spice. So it's quite a nice colour. Now, to be aware, when these are mixed into the base, they do come out a shade darker. So let's begin. So I'm going to use baby pink. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of the baby pink to this amount. Now if I wanted to make it a little bit stronger, I could actually add another 1/4 teaspoon. So if I wanted to make it a little bit stronger, then I could add more. In the book it just says a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm also going to add just a dash of red sparks, which I think is very sweet in this. So I'm just going to mix it with the back of this spoon. See how pretty the colour's coming out. And then I'm going to use a tin pan. You could also use a lip balm roll, but this is actually probably better. And you could probably get 2 out of this, but that is 7 gram in there right there. And then you can use a brush to apply, or even your finger. And this will work nicely as well as a cheek balm as well. So lip and cheek colouring. So that's how a simple way to make a lipstick using all natural ingredients. So today we made the Blushing Blossom lipstick, which can also be used as a cheek tint as well. And for your interest, I've just added a few extra recipes, such as Mystic Mulberry lipstick and Ethereal Tangerine lipstick as well. Now these lipsticks are very healthy. They're not going to do you any harm if you eat it, and the average woman does eat a few pounds of lipstick in her life. So this lipstick can be used, upgraded for adult lipstick as well, and you can get yourself lipstick tubes in a mold and make yourself some professional lipsticks out of it. It comes out quite nice. As we reach the end of our Kiddie Glam seminar, I want to thank you for joining me on this magical journey. It's not just a collection of recipes and techniques, it's a treasure trove of creativity and shared experiences. So if you need any more tips or you'd like to speak to me personally, you can contact me. And I do have a book coming out in the coming November, the full book on Kitty Glam. And I'm going to leave you with a video showing one of my nieces making her own lip glosses and blushers and in a Kitty Glam seminar. So have a great day wherever you may be, and it's bye for now.